Welcome to Season 2, Episode 12 of the Face-to-Face podcast with Kinder and Michael Reese. Today, we're going to talk about why being the preeminent agent of your marketplace is how you move from agent to CEO, doing what you love, serving people with love, building trust, adding value, and how to surprise and delight your clients and build relationships. Let's get started.
This is Face to Face with the co-founders of the National Association of Expert Advisors, Kinder and Michael Reese.
We believe that we can change the real estate industry. There is a better way to sell real estate.
Your success is ultimately a sum of the decisions that you make.
And they're really developing a process, a set of guidelines, a set of procedures.
They're also best-selling authors.
Here today to discuss the issue is Kinder and Michael Reese.
All right, Kinder, are you there, brother?
What's up, my brother?
Man, just ready to tackle this this movement of a topic today. Man, I'm really excited because I think this is something that you really display so well in your business and all of your businesses, and I really am excited to unpack what it means to be preeminent and move from being just an agent to a CEO of your business.
Right, man. I think one of the traps that I think we fall into as we're building the business is thinking that I'm trying to get to 100 transactions. I'm trying to get to 500 transactions. I'm trying to get to 1,000 transactions, which really is it's the transaction treadmill, right? And that's really not how you get there. You don't get there by setting the goal of doing 1,000 deals or doing 500 deals. No different than, anything in life that you want. It's more about who you have to become in order to accomplish that than it is what you actually have to do. And I think that's really, the foundation of any successful business, of any entrepreneur that I've met, has been at the foundation, at the core. They have a couple of key, attributes, one of which is they're constant learners. That's never been absent on anyone that I've seen at a high level of success. And number two is, they genuinely care about other people. They're genuinely trying to help other people. And that's really what being preeminent is all about. So yeah, I'm excited about this topic, no doubt.
So let's talk about really the component of doing what you love. I mean, one of the things that I've recognized, I had the opportunity to spend time with a guy that was uberly successful, in everything that they do. And when I was working with them, they reminded me of you because it was almost like time stopped and we got to talking and I could tell they were doing something that they loved. And me and you were having this discussion earlier today, which was, man, when you're doing something you love, when you're like, when you feel congruent, you almost feel this obsession. And I've always noticed that in you personally, that you have like this obsession. So what if someone is not obsessed with, where they are right now in any business, any career, how does that relate to becoming preeminent?
Man, that's a really good question, Mike. So yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know how to have, I don't know why, it's one of those questions that, I probably asked myself 1,000 times is, why am I this way? Why am I so obsessed? And I don't know. It's interesting because, it as well as I do. Some people have it and some people just don't have it. You're either obsessed or you're not. And I think, obviously I would definitely say, Mike, you definitely fall into that category of obsessed in anything that you do. And I think when you're passionate about what it is that you're doing, and I think that some of that comes from getting clear on what value you add. I think, when I look at, if I was mowing yards, there's not a lot of fulfillment. I'm not changing anybody's life, mowing yards. And that's, it's hard to get passionate about that. But when you're focused on, what value you add to people's lives and how you can really change people's lives, and you start to experience what, doing for other people and how, building a business and a lifestyle of really adding value to people's lives. And, that's really, a life of much more fulfillment than just selling more houses. You become empty if you're focused on, just the dollars, just the money, just, the numbers, the awards and the things that are just superficial. You have to find something that really, that gives your life meaning. And I think that's, going through a process of getting clear on your why and why it matters, whether it's for your kids, it's for your family, it's for, you want to, show, them, how to become the best person they can become, or just, you're consistent, growing and evolving as a human being. I think those are all part of the process of getting clear. And once you get clear, I think being obsessed comes natural, you just want to figure it out. You just want to solve the problem. You just want to help more people. You just want to add more value. And to a certain point, I think, for a lot of the folks that listen to this podcast specifically, because I know there's a lot of high producers that listen in, you get to a point where you care more about their success, other people's success than they care about their success. And that starts to become a challenge that you deal with, because you want to help people in such a way that, it doesn't make sense to you why they're not doing the things they should be doing to accomplish their goals. And you have to battle, you kind of have to battle that, as you grow your business.
Yeah. And I think I heard you say at one time, it's not trying to sell somebody, it's trying to serve somebody. And for me, that was like a good mental model.
Right.
I remember when we were sitting down with Jay Abraham, and he was, we were working on a project on Strategic Marketing Masters a few years back. And I remember one thing he said, being preeminent is being committed to being empathetic, like understanding the other side of the transaction and how they feel in a situation. And then understanding their hopes, their dreams, their needs, their feelings. And to do that, you have to be doing something that you care about. And you have to know the impact and the value. And you have to believe in the impact and the value that you bring to the situation, to at a point where when you're having a discussion where they're trying to change your beliefs are so high that your ability to communicate and demonstrate the things that they need to do are heartfelt. They don't feel like you're trying to sell them. They feel like you're trying to serve them.
Right. Yeah. And this goes back to really my, foundationally, like, my philosophy, if you will, is, everything is built on trust. And, I think, I don't know how maybe I came by this or whatever the case may be, but as I learned, oh, hey, that's just who I am. I'm super transparent. I'm very open. And I genuinely care about your situation, what you're trying to accomplish. And I took that mentality, and what that all really boils down to is it's your intent. What's your intention? And when you're super transparent and you're open and you genuinely care and you're trying to help somebody, that comes across and you build trust rather quickly with people, because that you can tell when somebody is just being 100%. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I mean, I started every listing presentation for I don't even know how many years. That's how I started every conversation is, listen, I'm not here to try to sell you on hiring me. I'm here to understand what you're trying to accomplish and trying to help you accomplish that goal. And I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You can look at me like a physician who has to tell a patient they have cancer. I'm going to give you the best advice I can based on your goals, not mine. And I think that that's missing from a large population of the real estate industry in terms of, they're out there trying to sell. And I'm absolutely against that, not because I'm not willing to sell, because I don't want to have to sell, because if it's me having to sell, then there's distrust being created, because, you're putting yourself in an environment where there's always resistance. When they're selling, there's resistance. And I'm not there to get you to resist listening to what I have to say. And that's just, and maybe it's the way I'm wired or whatever, but you damn sure have to have, from, building trust from the foundation is your character and your competence. And those are the two foundational elements of how you build trust with any person, any human being. And, integrity, and your intention is what comes across as who you are. And when you're genuine and authentic and you're fair and honest in dealing with people, those are all things that, that's what makes people tell people about you, and I think that's at the foundation of how you build a successful business, whether it's, in dealing, how you deal with your agents on your team, the people that you hire, understanding their goals and making their goals your goals. That's the environment that creates a great company. It's not, it isn't going to be, how good you can give a listing presentation or how good your ads are, how many deals you did. None of that stuff matters. It really boils down to at the end of the day, your character and your competence and what it is that you do and how you can help people.
Yeah, that's good stuff. The thing that makes me, and this is my question, when we were talking about when you were working on the agent to CEO kind of methodology, and we were having a discussion, one thing that was really evident to me was, people who do things that tend to be preeminent are almost at the point, even when they're working on something small, they're working from a mindset as almost like they're starting a movement or a revolution, if you will. It's like, think about Steve Jobs, right? When he came in and turned Apple around. I mean,
Right.
He had this, mentality of not building a computer, not building a phone. He wanted to make things that were, I remember it was in his autobiography, it said he wanted to do things that were insanely great, right, for the customer. And so a lot of the times the
Right.
customer didn't know exactly what they wanted, but at the core, he found that passion with having almost his mind's eye, if you will, tied to something bigger than a computer or a phone, but almost like a movement. And I think that's what is important is that, when we used to do that little visual with our hands about, there's this attention between where you are and the vision you have. And a lot of people, what they do is they get into this place where they look at what they're doing as just a job. And that's where just to make money. And that's when they're start to lower their vision, right? To remove some of the tension if they don't know how they're going to get there. I saw a blog post this week, and I took the time to answer, and I spent 45 minutes on my answer. And a guy said, "What's the difference between resistance and overwhelm?" And I was like, first of all, I was like, great question. And I called Brett Jennings, a good friend of mine, and he didn't answer, and he called me back, and I'd already written my post, and I asked him the question. And my definition came out to being, when you're really clear and you have space and you're really clear on where you want to go. And I'm asking you a question, by the way, because I know vision is so important, even when you're by yourself trying to do something. And I think when you have the power of a vision, that gives you a purpose to care about something that you believe in so much that you're willing to adopt the preeminent mindset because you're doing it for something that's more bigger than yourself. And just to
Right.
Close the loop on the resistance to me is we all face resistance in trying to achieve something. Overwhelm is when there's so many possible solutions, but you don't have the information in order to know which solution is the best solution. So you're overwhelmed because every solution, you don't have the framework for thinking or like mentors make you not overwhelmed. There's a lot of times things that don't overwhelm you would overwhelm a new agent, right? And so when you get overwhelmed, when you don't have those filters like a vision to be able to say no to things, right? And when you're in a state of overwhelm, you're not really in a mindset of being preeminent to people. You're more in a state of kind of self-serving of trying to just find solutions to problems no matter what you have to do versus saying, well, that solution doesn't work because it's not good for the customer. Even though it makes money, it's not good for the customer. And since this is our vision and we know if this is where we're trying to go, we're going to have to serve the customer well. I think those little things like visions and filters for making decisions help you become more preeminent.
No question. No question. Yeah, that's a great point. So, you've dealt with a ton of different, I love the Steve Jobs analogy. And, I think Steve Jobs had he fell in love with the client and what their needs are. And I think that at the foundation, it's easy to fall in love with your product or your service and everything it is you do. But it's much more difficult to shift that focus into just falling in love with your client and then making everything that you do, every recommendation you make, everything about your existence about enhancing their lives and improving their lives. And if you do that, then, that's when you end up with something, great. That's how you build a great company. And I think that's what, Steve Jobs was obviously obsessed. He was definitely obsessed about the product as well. There's no question about that. But I think he was clear about, what the customer needed and how to deliver that. And I think that was, one of the things that made him a great CEO, a great leader, a great visionary, a great innovator, and delivering more value than even what the customer knew. It's like Henry Ford's quote, if I'd asked the customer what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. I think that, to a large degree, he understood the customer so well that he engineered a product that no one saw coming. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. What you were saying about, communication, I think, if somebody's out there and they want to move from being an agent to a CEO, one thing that I want to just recognize is that it is hard when you're an agent, because one of the things that I think agents struggle with is they do need money today, and
right.
they don't tend to set up their business in a way that is very strategic. And so I can just tell you from my personal advice is if you really want to take your business to the next level and have true, authentic communications with your customers, your clients, in a way that are not self-serving, that's not what you typically say. That's not the vernacular you would use. You would understand that, a business of 300 customers that send you a referral every year is a way better business than waking up every month on the first trying to find your next customer. And that
right.
you have to adapt a mindset or a methodology, if you will, of not only communication, to get the customer when they're a client, when you're trying to find clients, but it's almost taking custody of them when they're not ready to be a client. And what I mean by that is, when you take ownership of your marketplace and say, you know what, and we'll just use a neighborhood. Like, everybody in this neighborhood, you might not want to do business today, but you're going to want to do business at some point. You own a home, and I'm going to start serving you now. I'm going to start communicating to you now. I'm going to start, providing value in advance. What you realize is that little shift of the mind really shifts your personal brand and your position. And it is a huge point of differentiation because it seems so simple, but people only do it with their past customers. If you could look at everybody that comes in as a lead tomorrow as your customer, even if they don't want to list or buy a home this week or this month or this year, and you serve them, then you'll have a database of people that look to you when it's time for them to do a transaction. And to me, that's a way better business than the alternative, which is what you referred to as the transactional treadmill.
Right. It's a way better life. So this is. I mean, let's give an example of this. So when you adopt this, it's not just for, let's take it another step even deeper, right? So it's not just, okay, well, if you get on the phone, first of all, you want to overcome reluctance of making your calls. Have this mindset that you're just trying to help people. It helped me tremendously. I didn't, did I particularly like calling bills and expires? Probably not. But did I believe that I could help them? I damn sure did. I believe that I made a difference. I believe that them talking to me was in their best interest, and that if I had an opportunity to get face to face, that I could show them that I could help them accomplish their goals better than they could on their own. I believe that to this day, that a for sale by owner that has no exposure to the marketplace is way less opportunity to net more money than, and obviously the research shows that as well. In some markets where it's not, maybe that's not the case as much today, but I believe that I make a difference in the outcome. And that's, and if you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish, that, if you're a seller or a buyer, that you are better off having met with me than never having met with me. And that mindset gets you through a lot of the work that has to happen. But it's not just with, this is about, adding value before the client even, before they even become a client. It's, the goal is you want to be seen in the minds of your customer as the trusted advisor, the definitive expert source, their fiduciary, who has their best interest in mind and really is their most trusted counsel when it comes to anything and everything come real estate. But that's also true of the people on your team and your vendors and everyone you come in contact with. And it just reminds me of, we've told this story 1,000 times, but I don't think everybody really catches it and hears it in the context of the same storyline of what we're talking about with being preeminent. The day that you called me and you were in Kentucky, what was that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I had no idea you were in Kentucky. We talked every single day. You know what I'm saying? But somewhere between the last time we talked and the next morning, you was in Kentucky. And I had no idea. I was like, what the hell are you doing in Kentucky? And
right.
What did you tell me?
That I didn't know why I was there, but I truly was, I felt like I could add value to what at that time was just a vendor that it was actually a company that I was trying to cancel my business relationship with. They provided me with a service to grow my real estate business, and I was trying to cancel it. And through a heartfelt discussion on the other side of the other people being preeminent truly and trying to understand my frustrations, we had a conversation that it would make sense for me to just come to their head office and talk about how to make it better. And when I got on the plane, it happened so fast. I was like, okay. And I'm there and I'm like, well, Jay called me. I'm like, I'm not really sure why I'm here, but I think I'm going to be able to add value. And so, they asked if I'd come, and my calendar was back then was flexible enough for me to say, yeah. And what ended up happening in that relationship, was, we've made millions and millions and millions of dollars in great relationships as a result of, jumping on
lifelong
the plane and try to, lifelong relationships.
Yeah. Lifelong relationship and behind that comes all the money that you're seeking, right? Like that. But your focus was, you didn't question it. I know you knew you could add value because you knew you could solve the problem that they had, and you made that investment, and they saw that, and that opened the door for a much, much more opportunity and really relationship for life, and that, I think but that's when you live that, when you just every day, every person you come in contact with, you start with, how can I add more value to this person's life? What can I do to add more value to this person's life? Whether it's your husband, your wife, your kids, your parents, the people you work for, the Uber that you took to lunch, whatever it is, when that becomes who you are, it's fascinating how your life changes. And I think to a certain degree, we're not wired this way. I certainly wasn't. I've been talking an awful lot about Braden being 20 years old, and at that age, he reminds me a lot of myself. And I must have been very frustrated. In fact, I apologized to my dad on Kinley's birthday last week. I said I must have been really hard to deal with. I said, because if I was as unappreciative and disrespectful as Braden is, then I just want to apologize, because I just didn't know. There's just not, you don't have an awareness at that age of, you think you know everything. And it's interesting how, that's how Jay Abraham changed my life. I mean, when, it wasn't that, and I think my dad has, he has that, that he has that character and kind of has that, he led by example from that perspective. And I didn't see it, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's why, he became, as successful as he did and the things that he's done is because, of that's truly who he was. And the sooner you have this awareness about, that's what really life's all about, is adding value to people's lives. And that's the most fulfilling way to run a business. You start looking at everybody a little differently, and you start to, genuinely care about, when you got people that work for you right now, I guarantee you that you don't know what their life's like when they go home. I don't know what, whatever you're paying them or whatever the case may be, you probably ain't living on that much money. And you don't know what they're going through when they go home. You don't know what their goals are and what their dreams are and what they aspire to accomplish. And these people get up every day and they're supposed to work for you. They're supposed to work their tail off for you. And are you doing the things that are necessary to understand and help get them clear and make them help them accomplish their goals? And are you making their goals your goals? And if you're not, I guarantee you, you want to see a different environment. Start making that the core of, your business, and anybody that you bring on, that you're going to help them accomplish their goals, that you're going to help get them clear on the roadblocks that are in the way, and help them move those and hold them accountable to the things they want in their life and things they want to do in their life. And when you do that, you change people's lives forever, man. And they come up to you, later on, years down the road, and they thank you. And how many times have we had that happen, Mike, where somebody came up to us and, Frank Klesitz was, super genuine guy. We hadn't seen him in a while, and he comes up to us while we're in Vegas and comes and sees us and hangs out with us for a while. And he's just super appreciative, because we always try to treat people with that same level of respect and genuinely try to help them. And, when they sense that that's just who you are, you know what I'm saying? And they realize, no matter how big their business gets, like, that some of the doors that, you open for people, or people that maybe people have opened for you, are the reason that you were able to get to the level of success you're at. You start to really appreciate, those people in your life that were givers and that were there to help you, and that took the time, to add value to your life. So, I think that's the foundation. If you want to build a successful business and you're not doing that, I can tell you, you're going to have challenges, in getting there, because, no one's going to follow you as a leader if you're not leading, if you're not truly leading and caring about the people that, that you work with on a daily basis.
Yeah, and to say what you're saying, and just to point out to the listener is, and I've seen this as an agent, you're doing it as a client, and as you progress to being a CEO, that same intention. Now we're talking about the people that work for you, and that same mindset. I one of the books I remember reading was, it was, you have to correct me, but it was Multiplier or Diminisher. I don't remember the name of the book, but it was that mindset, right? Like when you, even like with your kids, you either, when you're working with people, you truly are taking the time. I mean, one of the best things we have is our time, and investing that time into our people and into what you referred to earlier, Jay, is the relationships with the client, the relationship with the client after the transaction, the relationship with the person who comes to work for you. One of the things I think being preeminent from a CEO perspective is the ability to see more in somebody, is to not look at where they are, but look at what they could become, and your ability in leading them and encouraging them and creating a vision bigger for themselves than they ever had, and making that belief that it's doable, and then guiding them. And one of the things that I think as a CEO, is you get to the point where you're actually getting leverage, but you're getting leverage by doing something, again, that you love, which you love to help people grow. You get fulfillment out of helping people grow. It's not your business that grows. Your business is just a collection of people performing a task, and they either are doing the right things and all aligned. And one of the guys that I talked to this week, last weekend, I was in Austin, and I talked to a guy that would help businesses, and he would go in and help companies evaluate if they should purchase a company. And he said he would go in, and if they had 100 employees, he would try to find the lowest person. You have executives, directors, managers, and he would try to find the lowest person on the totem pole. And he would ask them 3 questions. And one of the questions was, what is the company's biggest challenges that y'all need to overcome in order to, advance towards the vision? But one question that superseded that was, what is the purpose of the company, and where are y'all trying to go? And he would say to me, if the answer he got for those questions from the CEO prior to coming out there, if he got if he got something that was exactly the same from the lowest person in the company, then it was always a great company. And if that person was confused, he could be in the manufacturing plant, he could be, in the stock room. If that person did not know, and they just felt like they were performing a task, then he felt like almost 9 out of 10 times, the higher he went up and there was that disconnect of that bigger purpose, then someone wasn't investing in those people, and it typically turned out to not be a great company. And I thought that was a good perspective on how to look at it.
No, I think that's absolutely, no question. And, if the people in your company don't know why you exist and what benefit you bring and where you're headed, there's a good chance they're not all pulling in the same direction as you would like them to. Right. And, it's not, you would think it's easy, but you got to say it, live it, breathe it. And you got to say it over and over and over again. And that's how you get people on board. If you want people on board with that vision, they got to know what it is. They got to know why you exist, what the benefit is. It's got to be something meaningful, something more than just helping you, get to a number. And when you get all this and it makes sense and you live it, you know the difference. And if you're living it right now and you're listening, you already know the difference. You know the difference of how or if you're at that level of success, where you're at the CEO of your business, then you're nodding your head as you're listening, going, people just don't know. You just don't know. This is the secret to getting to where you're trying to go. It's leveraged through others, but you got to do it from a place of love and genuinely trying to help people. And when you do that, man, people crash through walls for you. I mean, they really do. And it's certainly, I think, my philosophy on, if you want to be, become the CEO of your business, you have to build it on the foundation of trust and being, preeminent in your marketplace. And to do that, you have to genuinely put everyone else before yourself. And that's, for as entrepreneurs, that's sometimes not how we think. And you have to adopt that mindset.
Absolutely. And I think you said it best when you said, if you want a business to work harder for you than you do for it, then it comes down to where are you going to make those investments. And the investment starts with yourself, your mindset, your strategy and clarity on the purpose and why you got into any business in the first place, and make sure you take the time to crystallize that and understand the purpose. And the great thing about it is, if you do it, you can hire to it. You can inspire people with that vision. And anyway, ultimately, the result is you definitely not only have a better business, but you end up with a better life.
Right. No doubt about that, man.
Well, hopefully everybody got some value out of today. We definitely appreciate everybody who subscribes to the podcast. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We would be so delighted if you would leave us a review, only if it's positive. If it's negative, you can not listen anymore. I'm just playing.
Right.
But anyway, we do appreciate everybody, and we do care about you guys and your success. And we get a lot of fulfillment on being able to share these experiences that we've had, and hopefully they're things that will help you get clarity and understanding and help you grow your business. So with that being said, like we always say on the Face to Face podcast, we will either see you at the top
or from the top.